What's going on, guys? This is the Trash Master here, bringing you another deck profile. As you can see by the playmat and the sleeves, I will be doing my Victor deck profile deck today. This is actually a very fun deck. I was not expecting this deck to be as fun or as strong as it was. Although this is probably due to all the naysayers who say that this deck is one of the weaker decks for Nova Grappler. I completely disagree, and as you'll see from a match video that I put a link to in the description, you'll see just how strong this deck is anyway. So, starting off with our grade 3s, we play 4 copies of Extreme Battler Victor. His first effect is when he's placed on Vanguard, you check the top 7 cards of your deck and call any grade 2 or less Extreme Battler from among that 7 to Rearguard Circle. His second effect is when he attacks, you Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, stand one of your rear guards, and then if that rearguard stood two or more times during this battle phase by a card effect, then Victor gets an additional drive check. So not only does he give you free units, in addition to getting a card from XL2, but he can also give you, he's also one of the only cards in the game that can increase his drive check without needing to discard cards from your hand. So this card is essentially just a huge plus, in addition to providing more attacks. That's it for our grade 3s. Now going on to our grade 2s, we play 4 copies of Cool Hank. His first ability is when he hits on Vanguard Circle, you Soul Blast and draw. And on Rearguard, when he attacks, you discard a card and stand one of your rear guards. Probably, in my opinion, the best grade 2 ride in all of Nova Grappler right now. The pressure he gives from attacking from having a draw is pretty sweet when you consider that you're either going to plus a card or they're going to have to drop hand to stop it. 90% of the time, though, they're probably going to let it hit because it's only grade 2, and they're either going to lose cards and not have counterblast, or they're going to let you draw. The restanding effect isn't half bad either. Next, we play 4 copies of Kick Typhoon. Now what he does is when he's placed on Vanguard Circle or an Axel Circle, you give one of your units +5. And you can also give it to himself, but unless you're playing him on unless you're riding him, you're never giving it to himself. And his second ability is once per turn, when he attacks, you Counterblast 1, stand one of your other rear guards if your front row is full. So, once again, just like Cool Hank, he's there for the multi-attack, he's there for the slight bonuses, and definitely deserving of his title of #1 staple in the Nova Grappler clan. Next up, we play 4 copies of Extreme Battler Doe Sledge, or as I call him, the Gloryhammer. When he stands due to a card effect, he gets one of the following abilities based on how many times he stood during the turn. The first effect is he gets plus 10,000 power. The second effect is that you soul charge. The third effect is that he gets an additional 10,000 power, and when your opponent can't use sentinels when he attacks for the rest of the turn. So this is actually pretty big because considering by the time Victor attacks, that he'll be on his second stand and potentially going on to a third stand. He's not only is Victor going to get additional drive checks to where you could stack crits and everything on top of him, or just power in general, but he also kind of refills the soul cost that you get from Cool Hank or Victor or another grade 1 you'll see in a little bit. But that guard restrict is definitely something that is very, very handy. In fact, I actually believe it's Nova Grappler's first Sentinel restriction. Yeah, I think this is actually Nova Grappler's first real Sentinel restriction. Next up, we play 4 copies of Extreme Battler Aeroshid. When a card stands by a card ability, he gets +5 as a continuous. And when he's placed on Vanguard or Rearguard, you check top 5 for a grade 3. If you find one there, add it to your hand, shuffle your deck, and discard a card. If not, you just shuffle your deck. As with most clans in Standard, grade 3 Searcher, very essential, very important. But the 5,000 power can actually adds another level of strength to a column, which you're about to see in a second. Aeroshid definitely belongs in the deck. Next up, we play probably an underrated MVP in this deck, Extreme Battler Ganbaru Gun. His ability is when he attacks, if you have a Victor Vanguard, you soul blast 1, stand one of your rear guards, and he gets power plus 5,000 until end of turn. Now a couple cool things to note about this. One, if you have Aeroshid in the back row, you can create a 26 column that will restand a rear guard, which is super amazing. On top of that, unlike most of the other restanders, Ganbaru Gun can stand himself and give himself the +5. Now, this is only once per turn, so you can't just spam it as long as you have soul, but this is still, like I said, underrated MVP of this deck for sure. Next, we play 3 copies of Extreme Battler So Saucer. His first ability is on Vanguard. When he's placed, you discard a card and draw a card. His second ability is once per turn. When he stands, if he's on an exile circle, he gets +10. So, I'm going to be honest, this card isn't the best, but there are 3 reasons why we're playing it. 1, he's an Extreme Battler, so Victor can call him for free. 2, the drop and draw is actually a pretty big help when filtering out your hand. If you end up with like too many triggers in hand, or you don't end up with an extra copy of him, or even the quick shield is good discard fodder. And 3, the 10,000 power is really good if you have nothing else. So this card's more of a more assurance than it is victory. And while that's not really good deck building design, they honestly didn't give Extreme Battlers too much else in this set. Next up, we play 2 copies of Claydol Mechanic. One thing I should probably point out is that you could probably just interchange these, play 3 of this and 2 of this, and the deck will work the exact same. In fact, it might work a little better. What he does is, on Rearguard, when he's placed, if you have less than 4 cards total on your hand or rear guards, you draw a card. That ability is almost never going to resolve. His second ability is, and is the really important one, when you counterblast, you can retire him to countercharge, which is, again, really strong, really powerful in a deck that counterblasts as much as this one. Next up, we play a card that I was actually surprised to see so many lists playing. We play Unknown Adamski at 2. Now, once again, this card can probably easily be bumped up to 3 or 4. Most lists I've seen play 4, but I'm just not comfortable playing more than 2 for now. What he does is, when placed, you counterblast 1, stand one of your rear guards, attack your opponent's Vanguard with it, and if it misses, it restands. This card can pretty much be your end game, as if you know your opponent's in a losing battle, you can combine it with the Gloryhammer here and add additional pressure. In addition to that, if they let it hit, they're taking more damage. If they guard it, Gloryhammer is going to restand. He gets all his powers and all that. Unknown Adamski is a pretty nice card. Next up, we play 2 copies of Shout. Once again, I will say one of the best grade ones in Nova Grappler. His ability is you can rest him to check the top card. Both players check the top cards of their decks. If they have different grades, the one with the higher grade puts the card in their hand. The one with the lower grade puts it in the soul. If they're the same grade, both players add the card to their hand. Now, this card, although it's not as strong in Victor as it is in something like Beast Deities, it's still a really good card. Definitely charges up your soul, or can increase your hand for more shield or more attacks. Definitely a good card to put in the deck. However, if I had to cut him, I would probably just add one more Adamski or something. Next up, we play, for our triggers, 6 critical, 6 draw. Now, for those of you who are questioning why I don't play the Sentinel crit in this deck, I just don't see the need to run it over a Perfect Guard in this specific deck. In something like Beast Deities, I could probably get away with it, but this deck actually does need its Perfect Guards. 4 heals, because heals are nice. And then we have our starter, Battle Riser. Battle Riser, honestly, at this point, you could use any starter you want. I just chose Battle Riser for the sake of, you know, it kind of fits the aesthetic of Victor. All the other starters just kind of fit their own deck aesthetic and all. But anyway, that was the Victor deck. Let me know in the comments what you thought of it. Like this video if you did. Shout out to Danny Dang, who's probably going to tear this deck a new asshole. Or not, actually. Every time I say that, he doesn't end up saying anything, so... but what do I know? Anyway, subscribe if you haven't already, and be sure to check out the match video I have with this, where I go up against Team Vector's Curtis, playing Spike Brothers. This is the Trash Master. Peace.